A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Good morning. My name is Mark. I wanted to talk about the Second Amendment this morning, briefly, hopefully a very short video. And I wanted to talk about how there are some people out there who use the text of the Second Amendment to try to demonstrate why we do not, as individuals, have a right to keep and bear arms, meaning to own firearms and perhaps to carry firearms. Okay? A lot of these people say that because the Second Amendment contains the word militia, that the rights to own and bear firearms refer to membership or employment in some sort of military. A lot of times people will say or will refer to the Army National Guard, the Air National Guard, whatever it might be. Sometimes they'll talk about that as being the militia, or they'll talk about the military in general. Now, there are 3 points I wanted to make in this video, and the first one is that although I don't think it's the most important issue, certainly the legal profession thinks it's the most important issue, and that would be that the United States Supreme Court, back in I believe it was 2010 or 2011, in D.C. versus Heller, found that the prefatory clause, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, did not actually have a real legal effect on the specific issue of whether you can own a certain kind of firearm or carry a certain kind of firearm. They specifically said it was a prefatory clause. Prefatory, it's a preface, it's essentially introducing the topic that the amendment was addressing. Okay? The operative clause, as the Supreme Court called it, that being the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, was that the operative clause. It was the content of the amendment. Okay? So another important issue that's directly related to that is that the prefatory clause, I don't mean to downplay its importance, I simply mean to say that the amendment is about the right of the people, not about the right of the militia. So, that said, a lot of people define the militia, as I said, as Army National Guard, Air National Guard, whatever it is, when in reality, the militia is just the people. Back during the founding of the country, as well as now, the definition never changed, although some people might believe it has. The militia is just all able-bodied men, 18 to 45, and you could throw in women as well because of equality and whatnot. I have no problem with that. And if people want to talk about age discrimination, then we can widen that age gap or eliminate the age restrictions. Anybody could do it. I'm not advocating that children be part of it, but that's if somebody wants to make that argument, you can make that argument. So the importance of the militia is that we need a militia to maintain freedom. Okay? What is a free state? A free state in the Second Amendment was not referring to a free government or a government that was unrestrained. It was referring to a state of existence in which people are free, a free state, a state of freedom. And the founders acknowledged, by putting in the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the founders right there acknowledged how important a militia was to freedom, that the people needed to be armed and trained in order to protect themselves against foreign incursion or against a tyrannical government at home that was taken over by some sort of nefarious corporate or foreign interest. And specifically the word well-regulated, the phrase well-regulated, doesn't necessarily refer to a command and control top-down approach to militia. Specifically, regulated means to function well, or to function. So a well-regulated, a well-functioning militia, which would suggest a well-trained one, that it's organized, and that doesn't mean that it has to meet every so often, whatever, but certainly institutions like the Southern Poverty Law Center make militias sound evil, and MSNBC has probably made militias sound evil. I couldn't point to an exact example on MSNBC, but I'm sure it's out there. So militias get a bad name, so unfortunately it's difficult for people to participate in militias, or at least to do so openly. But I think I covered the issues that I did want to cover today. Actually, there was one more, and that refers to the another issue that people say that the Second Amendment refers to smoothbore muskets and just guns of that era. And it's interesting to note that during the War for Independence, during the Revolutionary War, that a lot of colonists in the militia were actually armed with rifles, not muskets. Smoothbore muskets, the bore, the barrel, is smooth, and the ball travels down the barrel, down a smooth barrel. That will allow for less accuracy than a rifle will, because the rifle barrel is threaded. It has grooves going in a it's like a spring or a spiral kind of down the barrel, and it gets the bullet to spin, and that increases the range and accuracy of the bullet. So the colonists, some of the colonists, were actually better armed than both the Union Army as well as than the British Army. And I think that's important to note there, because when the Second Amendment was written, they had just finished fighting that war, and the militia that is referred to in the Second Amendment was actually better armed than the state. I think that can demonstrate what the Second Amendment is all about in terms of why it's important for the people to have guns, and why it's important for there not to be effective restrictions on the guns that we can have, especially when the government has all of these very technological guns. So I hope that was informative to everybody, and I hope to see your comments in the comment section, and I hope if anybody is up to it that they want to make a video response. Thank you.